Welcome to Bald Ambition. I'm your still very bald host, Mookie Spitz, and the one with tons of ambition. Today is Mr. Scott Pulcini. Welcome to the pod, Scott. You are a trader, and by trader I mean Trader, a trader. And you've been in the game for quite some time, and you use some new technology, and you bring a combination of what I see as your experience in the trenches with some of the data made available to folks to maximize their efficiency and returns. You've got a live room that you give every day, and you offer your services to investors to share some of your insights and knowledge and help people invest better. Tell us a little bit about yourself, Scott, in terms of where you're at in the game, how you got here, and how you're different.
Definitely different, but in many ways, yeah. So I trade futures. I'm a day trader, so it's not longer term investing. So it's more in and out during the day. I've always been that way. That's how my mind works, as far as what I teach as well. So going back to early 1990s, I got introduced to the game by my grandfather, and that's before internet and everything else. And when we would start to follow stocks in the newspaper, and then we checked the next day. I pick a stock and check the next day, see what it did. And then I entered this thing in high school called the AT&T Investment Challenge, and I was top 1/10 of 1% in the standings there. Complete luck, but it got me hooked, right? So it's like I wanted to do that going forward. And when I went to college, I studied business finance, and I was going to be I didn't know what I wanted to do. So I was going to be a financial advisor. And I did an internship with Smith Barney at the time at the Sears Tower in Chicago, when it was the Sears Tower, and figured out very quickly it was a little too boring for me. And I wanted to be, where the action was. So got a job at the Chicago Board of Trade. One of my buddies got me a job down there. I was an art clerk. Doing the hand signals. I don't know if you remember trading places in the pits where they're going doing the hand stuff. So I got battle tested down there because that was a very, very stressful environment where you're working for a broker, and you make a mistake, you can blow him out in 2 seconds. Blowing out meaning cost him millions of dollars and he's done. So that was very, very stressful. Went from there and I started trading electronically. It's right when all the markets moved to the screen, or started to move to the screen, which they're almost 100% now. But and I begged my buddy, a guy from the floor, actually, he kind of saw the writing on the wall, and he started his own trading firm. He knew the pits were dying. And apologize if you hear stuff in the background. I do have trades on while we're talking. Hopefully it'll be a dead period while we're talking here.
Hopefully this podcast isn't going to cost you a lot of money.
It'll probably help me, because when I stare at trades, I get a little antsy, even after 25 years in the business. So it'll probably help me by not looking at it. But so this guy started this trading firm, electronic. It was the Wild West. There was no education, right? Like there is today. I mean, there's a dime a dozen educators out there, but literally put me in front of a screen, said, figure something out. Pick your market and figure something out. And there's some guys at the firm at the time that were just, I don't want to say they were dumb, but I just knew that if they were making money, I could make money. And they were doing very well. I mean, they were making like $5,000 a day, things like that. I'm like, okay, it's go time. I can do this. So I came in all gung ho and lost every day for my first 2 months. Did not have one winning day in 2 months. About to get fired. The 9/11 happened, and they closed the markets down, the U.S. markets down for a week. And I just wanted to figure something out because I knew I was about to get fired. So I started trading overnight the German DAX, the stock market for Germany, and started seeing some patterns there. And then when the markets reopened after 9/11, I started to apply some of the things I learned in the German DAX into even the S&P futures. It's just the futures product for the S&P 500, and just literally just got it. Like it just clicked. And then I started making money every day, relatively small at the time. But I was so confident I'd figure it out. And I've always been like this, I'm always like terrible at something when I first started, but then when I put my mind to it, I master it. Right. So I was so confident I'd figured it out. And mind you, I was about to get fired, and I wasn't even making that big. The big trade of the year before, it made $2.8 million. And so I had the gall to go in the owner's office and make him a bet that I would be the number one trader the following year. That was 2002. And he was more than happy to take that wager. We bet a golf trip on it, and I ended up winning the bet. So I'm sorry, the top trader the year before was 2.4, so 2000, so I ended up making 2.8. So I beat him. I was a top trader, won the bet, and then over the next 3 years, made about $15 million for my trading firm and myself, and thought I had made it. Right, so this is why my story is resonates with traders, because so many traders went through the same thing, not in the same scale, but relatively, the same type of thing where doing well, and all of a sudden the algos took over. So it's kind of like repeating, like business cycles and life repeat, right? So it's like what's happening now with AI. Back then it was just the algos. There was no algos in there, and I was just clicking a mouse. I was just one of the fastest clickers in the world at the time. I was 10% of the world volume every day. That's how active I was, and then it just disappeared because the algos took over and knocked me out. So literally spent next 6-7 years trying to reinvent my trading style to be elite, and I just could do nothing to become elite. I had to leave the business 2013 and go into medical sales. So then I was sitting in doctors' offices, going to their office, kissing their ass, having them treat me like a peon sales guy. Little did they know, over a 3-year period, I probably made more money than they're going to make in their entire career. So that was a tough pill to swallow, right? I had a bit of humble pie there, So then I was out of the business, and fast forward to 2018-ish, 2019, Dr. Brett Steenbarger, who wrote Enhancing Training Performance. He's wrote a bunch of trading psychology books, and he's a psychiatrist as well. He was at my firm when I was making all the money, and he wrote a book and asked if he can sit behind me to see what made me elite. So he had put me in his book, so he knew I was out of trading, so he contacted me and said, hey, you want to take a look at this program, this software called Bookmap.com? He goes, it reminds me of how you used to visualize the market, because they display the orders on a heat map, and it's just easier to visualize, and I can show you it if you want to. So the minute I saw that view of the markets, I'm like, okay, I'm back. This is how I need to visualize the markets to compete with these algos at the time, right? So got back in it, started making my way back, and then I started doing webinars, trading webinars for Bookmap, because they knew my story. And then from there, I got a lot of requests to start my own trade room to teach traders how to trade and teach them what I was seeing in the market. So that's where I'm at today. I trade my own accounts, but then I also have a trade room where I educate traders on how to read the futures markets, kind of like how I visualize with the order flow and so forth.
So it's a bit of a masters of the universe story. So if I heard you right, it took you a while to figure out your skill set, which is the day trade, which is futures. And as you point out, that's very, very different than even short, medium, long-term investment. It's sometimes on the minute, on the hour. It's being responsive in real time to a very kinetic, sometimes chaotic trading environment. And you just have the personality, your brain is built to be locked into that, and you excelled at it. And then you started kicking ass until the algorithms took over, until the machines were out clicking your ass in terms of being responsive in that real-time dynamic environment. And then you're like, fuck it, I'm just going to sell medical equipment. I'm done.
It wasn't that easy. Trust me, it wasn't that easy for me to give up, right? Because a trader's mentality, you have to wake up every morning saying, okay, you let the day go behind. And this is for life too, right? It's like I had a bad day yesterday, I'll figure it out today, right? You have to have that mentality in trading and in life, or you're not going to make it, right? So I did that for 6-7 years, and all of a sudden I was like, okay, I have no money left, because when you have a certain lifestyle, there's a saying out there, there's nothing worse than having money and then losing it versus never having it at all. Because when you had it and lost it, you know what it felt like to have the money, right? When you never had it, you don't know what you're missing, right?
And of course, we spend what we earn and then some.
Well, exactly. I had a lifestyle. I was buying, I had a $1.6 million condo in Chicago. I had multiple thoroughbred racehorses. I'm a horse racing degenerate, right? So it was like I had racehorses, condos. I bought a Jaguar XKR back then. It was like the top car. I paid $85,000 cash for it. So it was like, as quick it was coming, and it was all relative. So I don't beat myself up about that these days, because back then I was, 2003, I made $10 million. So to make $10 million, you have to average $50,000 every trading day, 200 trading days, right? So I literally would, buy a horse or whatever, and then, it cost me 50 grand, and I'd be like, no big deal. I'll make that by Monday morning, 10 a.m. Right. So it's like, it was all relative. It sounds crazy nowadays, like, and I've had a couple really, really big losing days that I wish I can get back. when I look back now as a more mature person, I mean, this was before age 30. I had bet my grandpa at the time, even before I started trading, I bet him I'd be a millionaire before I was age 30, right? And I did it. I walked in with a firm check. I was age 29. They framed it, put it on the wall, so I had made it, but looking back, there's so many things I could have done to protect myself I just didn't think it was going to end, right? I thought I had a gift, which I did, but it disappeared. So this goes for anything in life, right? Like any business, anything. Like, yeah, you have a gift or you have a great business, but it could end in a heartbeat. A great example just for the business sector, like that, I live in Arizona, the Salad and Go. It was an awesome franchise. Like, it's every time I've gone there, I've been sitting in the drive-through, for 10 minutes to get. They looked like they were flourishing out of nowhere. They closed all their businesses in Texas, all in Arizona. I'm talking like 300-400 of them. It's like, that's how quickly things can change. So you always got to be ready to adapt to the new thing, AI and everything else. But it's so my story resonates whether you're a trader or not, is what I'm trying to say.
And people love a comeback story.
Right.
So it's cool that you ceilinged out, you got your ass kicked, but then you came back. And the way you came back is also complementary to how you got your ass kicked, which is the technology.
Right.
So when the algos took over, then you were knocked out. And then you get this opportunity through Bookmap, and I checked it out, and I can put some visuals on the screen for YouTube. I've got a link below for people to go check it out if you're on the audio only. But it's a creative data visualization tool in real time for complex day trading. So the technology got you out, the technology brought you back. And now we've got another tier of technology, which is the AI stuff as well.
Right.
And can you share how you're different from some of the bot traders? I've had a few of those guys on the podcast too. And it sounds to me that you're more hands-on, you're more human, you're experienced. And when you're coupled with this tech, you bring everything that you've just described in terms of just decades of human lived experience.
Right. Well, I mean, I learned the hard way, and this went for, remember I was saying, like, all these floor traders, like once the stuff went to the screen, they were done, right? They knew how to trade in the pits with the noise and watching people's reactions. Once it went to the screen, they had no chance because that edge was gone, right? So there's a couple of documentaries out there on the board of trade, like all these bitter floor traders that are so pissed off that it went electronic, it's not fair, blah blah blah. And I was like that too. It was like, this is impossible. When I got knocked out of the game with the algorithms, like, this is impossible. You can't do it. So I've learned over, once I got back in the business, instead of fighting the algos, recognize what they're doing and join them. So again, it's, if you can't beat them, join them, right? So there's certain things I look for, and I'd be happy to show you, like, how you can, and this could work for longer term traders too. Don't get me wrong. Like, for instance, I'll show you an example of gold today, right? Like, it raced to the highs, everyone's piling in, and a bunch of sell iceberg came in. So icebergs are orders that the big money uses. They have to hide their orders because of the algos. If they put a huge order in the order book, these algos front run them, and meaning they run the order away from them and trying to make them chase the price. So the CME has this special type of order where they only have to display 10% of their order in the order book, and then when it gets traded into, the rest of it populates. So it's called an iceberg. It's not technical, right? So the point is, if you see something like, I'll show you here, like in gold. So say you're long gold and you're trying to figure out a place you wanted to get out for now because it's had a nice rally in the last month or so. This is a perfect example of what I'll show you. It's like, you see all these sell icebergs coming in. I don't care what the algos are doing right now. Like, even if they're trying to push the market higher, these sell icebergs keep coming in. The market's not going to go any higher, right? It's going to at least relent a little bit. This is information that the average most actually day traders don't even know about this or don't use it, which is astonishing to me. But knowing this information can help you make better decisions, even if you're a longer term trader.
Sounds cool. Do you want to use the share tech here in the app? It's the little button down there to share your screen. You're the man. And just as a favor to those who are on audio only, not everyone is going to be watching us on YouTube or the other video platforms. Can you talk us through, give us a little extra descriptor context so we track people who are just listening?
Right. So let me so there's a lot of people are see this for the first time. They almost have a seizure because there's so much on my chart. But it's not a lot of indicators per se. I'm not going to get into the whole what everything is here, but I'm gonna cover the most important stuff here, right? So if I turn off the liquidity, so this is showing you, first of all, this is what got me back in the game. Don't mind all this. I'm gonna show you this was the sell icebergs that I was talking about, but all you're seeing here, like right now, you can see the Algos playing games here, pulling and putting orders. That's just showing right there that order book. So they're playing games, and you can see these orders represented on the heat map. And by the size, the bigger they are, the darker orange it is, right? So you can see the games that are being played right now. This is the crap that knocked me out of the game in the first place, right? So, and I could turn that on and off. So just for visual, so this is what I was trying to explain here. As this market came up to its highs, like if you're looking at a chart here, like this is what most investors or traders that know what they're doing, they're looking at, right? And this was earlier this morning. This thing is ripping off the page. You're like, yeah, right, I'm long. I knew it. I knew this was going higher, and then it does this. So people are sitting here. What happened? Why did this thing pull back? $20 or $30. Well, the reason it pulled back is because it ran into a block of sell icebergs here, right? So you can see. So this is the subchart. So this is what Bookmap had right when I started, and they still have it. I had a trader in my trade room figure out how to put this stuff on the heat map, so it actually draws the exact prices that this information came in. But my point being is, this is right after. So there was a big economic number today. It was CPI this morning. So that's what this rip was, right? So all the longs thought they had it, and then they run into a mouthful. I like to say mouthful of icebergs. So someone big came in here, and they kept selling it. You can see all these blips of sell icebergs here, right on the subchart. So you had 150, you had another 250, you had another 150. That's a lot of size. I mean, if you look at the order book, there's not a lot. Each price is like 7, 5, 6, 7, 8 lots up. Now you're talking like 500. That's going to stop the market, at least temporarily, right? The big money's not always right, but they're right more often than they're wrong because they're the big money. And if they keep putting in sell orders here, it's going to relent, and that's exactly what happened. They tried to sell, it came back. They kept buying it, and they just kept putting in more sell ice, and the market finally relented. So the point is, I have strategies from watching literally hundreds of thousands of these over the last 9 years, and my experience as being trading millions of contracts on how this stuff reacts and the edge in this. But my point is, even if you're longer term, you're sitting here and you have this program and you see, okay, this has been a great run up the last month. You can see here, this thing has been basically vertical for a while now, right? So it gapped out, it broke out of this big balance area here. So this was this was August 5th. So this thing's basically gone straight up for 15 days or not even 7 days, a week. It's gone straight up. So my point is, you're like riding it, and you're like, where should I get out? Well, when you start seeing the big money playing, you're like, okay, I'm going to get out and wait for a pullback and maybe look for buy ice. So this is my point. You don't have to be a short-term trader, but I am, and there's ways to take advantage of this information and play the game. This isn't even the algo game. It's just play the big money game, and I'll show you the algo game too, where you can play in and out, and that's for hyperactive traders that want to play with the algos. I don't really like playing with the algos per se, but I don't fight them is what I'm saying.
Let me summarize real quick, put a pin in it, both for people listening and also just people watching you do your magic. What we're seeing is amazing transparency over time for value and volume. So when you see value and volume across time, it could be 5 minutes or 5 days, you get a macro view of a decision you're going to make in the moment. So ultimately it's buy or sell, right? So if you're seeing the value of what you're tracking starting to spike, that's what you call the iceberg, right? It's starting to cook up. If you pull back a little bit and you look at longer term trends, and here we're talking really a matter of hours or days, right? Then you can see overall activity, and you see where the big guns come in and go out. And instead of operating in the dark, just in that moment and trying to figure out how high the ceiling might be, you could see prior ceilings through the chart that's there in front of your face. And then you can make a really informed decision on when to get out or whether to stay in. Am I right?
Correct. You got it on the head. Pretty good for a non-trader. It sounds like you actually have a little experience trading, so I'm not going to buy that you're not a trader.
Well, I got bald ambition. So it's good we've summarized it right, and I can see the power of your tool. as well, which is transparency. And when you combine it to your point, which I think is extremely significant, that data is just data. But if you bring a weltering of experience, to your point, decade plus, going all the way back to the floor, then you're combining the best of data with the human to
Correct.
make the right decision. And that's where
Correct.
you come in. That's where you come in. You teach people how to recognize when to buy, when to sell based on looking at this tool and how to evaluate it. Is that right?
Exactly. Right. And the way the markets react to these orders, they follow a certain pattern, right? So, if the market moves, so I have, again, rules that if the market moves a certain amount away from this activity, that means it has a much better chance of doing this, like it is doing, versus going higher, right? So again, the big money is not always right, at least not right away, but they're right more than they're wrong. So you want to identify these areas, and if it follows a process, a pattern, then that's where I'll take, like, for instance, I'll take a short. Or if I was long here, meaning I was banking it was going to go up, and then I see this and it fails out of here, and I know it's time to get out. And then the other thing is, these algos. This is what I was talking about, the algo game. You can see here, this thing's at full force here. So what you're seeing down here, when nothing's going on in the market, these things, they just run the market. So any trader, and if you go to my X account, I posted something on NASDAQ a couple of weeks ago, the same exact thing, because when nothing's happening, that's when these algos take control. So this is called the price change algo. This is on Bookmap as well as their add-on, Market Pulse add-on. So this is when this thing's colors. This is just telling you when the prices move too far, too fast, and these algos come in and snap it the other way. So when nothing's going on in here, usually around this time of day, when New York goes to lunch, Chicago goes to lunch, then it's game time, right? So for any trader that's even day trader or even day trader, you can set this up for a day too. This price change game, that's what I call it. You always wonder, like, why, like, for instance, on short right now, you can see my buy orders. I'm getting tortured here as I'm waiting. You can see it came down, price change. That's the sell price change, and it rips back up. Now it's price changing this way. See how it's ripping back down. So this explains many, many times why you're getting whipsawed. So, like I was saying, if you can't beat them, join them. And you could trade this on its own, right? Every time this thing colors, this one you sell. When it colors this way, you buy, you sell. So you can play this. I'm too old for that game. That's what all I did basically back in the day, trading off of this. But the point is, at least you can know what's going on, and again, you can join them versus getting upset and letting them throw you off your game, because that's what they're here to do. They're here to take your money and whipsaw you, right? And another thing this thing does too, I don't know how many times you've heard traders that you've had on, or day traders or longer term traders, they get a trade that's moving in their way, and they go, say they got in right here at this price, say 44.80, right? They sold it, and they're like, okay, well, now I got a profit, so I'm going to move my stop to break even. So the worst that happens is I break even. These algos know exactly that's what traders do. This is a zero-sum game. They're trying to take your money. They know traders trail and stop. That's why they do this. They stop you out. They take your order, and then it goes the way they thought it was going to go, right? So again, instead of getting frustrated, you can see the games in here, and that's the key.
The house always wins, right? When you go to Vegas. So if you're just, hanging out and having fun, you're going to get your ass kicked. But if you know what you're doing and you know basic strategy, then the odds shift into your favor.
Absolutely. That's a good segue into my card counting story. We can do that on another webinar, but I'm actually banned from Vegas from counting cards, right? So I turn the tape. This is the same thing, right? You're not going to get banned from trading if you know what the big money's doing. But there's a big card count. Again, it's a really good story. It's kind of lengthy, so if you want me to tell it at the end of it, I will. But the point is, I don't do anything that involving money unless I think I have an edge at it. So I got sick of losing money when I went to Vegas. I literally bought a card counting book, learned how to count cards, went and practiced it, and then I got so good at it, I got banned. Right? So yeah, it's like you're playing against the house, but if you have an edge, you can compete.
Yeah, you got Rain Man shit going on.
I wouldn't go that far. It's all learned, but yeah.
But it's a similar skill set. So I would consider you a savant without being the idiot. You're an everyday Chicago kind of guy. I'm from Chicago too. I was born on the South Side, raised on the North.
Where South Side? Where?
South Side in Park Forest.
Well, guess what? I grew up 5 minutes from there.
No kidding. I was born in St. James Hospital.
So was I. South Chicago,
No, no
Chicago
way.
Heights, Illinois. I grew up in South Chicago Heights, went to Marian Catholic High School, graduated in 1990.
Wow. I ended up a North Sider. I graduated a few years before you, but it's that Chicago vibe that we go. We're gonna take a Portello's Italian beef over any kind of hot cuisine we could find
Well,
anywhere else.
absolutely. And you better not tell me you're a Cubs fan either, because now I'll probably
Yeah,
hang up
yeah.
on
Get
the
my
podcast.
get my ass kicked that way. That all said, I love the Vegas analogy. I love the fact, and it's really a proof of concept that you're banned from the casinos because there's a lot of the same operating principles here of really understanding the system, and you're gaming the system in terms of transparency and your knowledge that you bring to bear. So I think this resonates. I do want to bring up one thing that I'm sure our listeners and viewers are thinking about. We understand that this is futures, this is day trading, and you've got these trends that are becoming visible that are on screen right now and that you've described. But we're living in some crazy times right now. For example, the Iran war, Strait of Hormuz, oil, that kind of future, commodities, helium, fertilizer. A lot of people are playing around with that stuff too on a day trading basis, of course. And a lot of this is contingent on almost random factors that are now punching people in the face. So how do you square off on trends that you see on screen right now with this lack of predictability that we're seeing literally on the front page of the newspaper?
Well, it's not only on the front page of the newspaper. I actually turned off the squawk box. I had it on. Every 5 minutes, there's another headline. It's the most trying period I've ever. And mind you, I got knocked out of the game. It's more trying than when I got knocked out of the game the first time. As far as for a year and a half, literally a year and a half, there has been a headline basically every 5 to 10 minutes. Before first it was the tariffs, right? Every 10 minutes, we're putting a tariff on China. Market tanks. Trump comes out the next day. No, we're not. Goes back up, right? So now with the Iran stuff, I call it headline ping pong. It is all day, every single day. And what's even more egregious with it is the Trump Foundation came out and said they're offering trading firms. It's already started. They're doing it. They offer trading firms $100,000 a month. They can get the Truth Social posts before they hit the wire, right? So it just shows you how manipulated this is. So, as a trader, a retail trader, even if you're trading for a firm, if you don't have this information, you're just flying blind. I can't tell you how many times my trade room could tell you because all I do is bitch about it. But how many times I've had a great trade on? Like right now, I'm short. You're looking at I'm short gold. If he comes out and says something or Iran says something, this trade could potentially get blown out in 3 seconds, right? So it's like you don't have any control over that, right? So for a longer term trader, the best you can do is put your orders above structure type stuff, right? Like, so, markets are in one of two states. They're either balancing, or they're trending, right? So this is a definition of a big balance area where it's just buyers and sellers. And when it breaks out of here, somebody's right, somebody's wrong. So the point is, if you're going to, say you were short here with the sell ice, well, I would probably just put my stop above that structure and just hope you don't get headline, right? And that's all you can do. But this has been the most trying period I've ever. I tell my traders, and I do webinars for Bookmap and other trading entities. It's like, if you're even breaking even right now, that is a testament. You're doing well, because it's, again, you don't know when the headlines are coming, so there's nothing you can do about it.
Is one potential fix to adjust the granularity, if you will, what I would call the altitude of your activity? If you're responding in real time, then it's going to get crazy, just like you described, because of the unpredictability of it. But if you trend a little bit backward, you shift focus, let's say from minute to minute, hour to hour, even day to day, and look at this maybe week to week, and then figure even strategically that, frankly, Iran has us in a vice grip now, as far as the strait goes. Maybe look at what would be considered a medium-term trend and then adjust accordingly. Is that feasible, or is that already out of your range, your wheelhouse of being more responsive in the moment?
Yeah, it's out of my range, and I don't think it's possible anyway, because again, it's literally, I call it Groundhog Day every day. Like, it's the same exact headlines every single day. You don't know Are we real? Is there a deal coming? Is the deal real? I mean, literally the same headlines, and it doesn't matter. This is why you get crushed, because it's the same headline for literally 5 months, right? We have a deal. We don't have a deal. They can't have nuclear weapons. Blah blah blah. Right. So it's like these algo reading headlines. They don't decipher. They see certain keywords. They fire in orders. You're done. Right. So
Right.
yeah, I mean, I don't know what trend you see, right? So it's like, yeah, here's crude, right? So yeah, when we had the deal for the 88th time here, right? It went from crude went from 95 all the way down here to 75, and then now the war was going to be done within a month, and then it wasn't, and then it was, and then now it's not, and now here again. So I don't know how you predict what's going to happen next. I don't care. So yeah, this is in the downtrend, and guys love to draw channels and stuff. But again, if they come out and say there's no deal, and say Iran bombs a ship or something, the thing's going to go like that. So yeah, that's not predictable. You just got to put in your trades. What you can do, and I'm not an options expert. I'm getting better at it, because we haven't talked about the options flow in these markets. That's the number one game. We talked about AI. The options flow, the 0 day to expiration game, is by far the biggest driver of the markets now. 90% of the trade is these guys that come in and load up the options dealers, and the options dealers have to come in the market, whether it be individual stocks or futures, and that's how they have to hedge themselves. But I digress. What I was saying is, there are option strategies. If you say you have a stock position on a portfolio line, you can put on certain options to protect yourself if you get the rips, where you won't get stopped out, right? You can buy like an option 4 months from now to protect yourself, where if it does rip up, you're not just stopped out of the trade, and then eventually it'll come back. You're hoping. But yeah, you can protect yourself. But me as a day trader, I'm trading futures. I don't play the options game yet. Trust me, I'm looking at it, because it's been so ridiculous with the headlines and stuff. But you can protect yourself is what I'm getting at.
Yeah, and I'm assuming the options game, you could ride the wave up and down and down and up. And then when you smack AI into it, and you got agentic technology, which is basically pre-programming your ceiling and your bottom, then I'm sure a lot of people are making a lot of money by basically just putting a prompt into their Claude bot and go and having a lunch in the Bahamas, because it's just kind of cranking along.
Right. Yeah. Or saying, please read the next headline, and throw the order in for me.
Exactly. I want to bring up just a couple points. The one is, I'm sensing that the markets are getting a little bit inured to this. So when we had the Liberation Day for the tariffs, the markets went absolutely batshit crazy.
10% up. 10%.
Literally like $2 trillion in volatility over a week. It was unbelievable. There's no precedent for that, not even COVID. But then with the tariffs, like, he was just making it up as he went along. He's like popping an Adderall and having a cheeseburger, and this country, that country, this business, that percentage, that percentage. The markets were like, this is just crazy time. And then they were just operating as if, we're getting hit with these daily headlines, but the overall macro state is uncertainty, and then let's just go with it.
Yeah. Again, I mean, you hear all these, money managers, or people that trade longer term. A lot of them will say, just go into cash, right? It's like, just don't even put yourself in front of this stuff. Just wait. But it's like, well, how long do you wait, right? It's like, if you go back to the tariffs, we're talking almost 2 years now. It's been incessant headlines every single day. So it's like, all you stay in cash. I mean, and if you stay in cash, you miss this entire rally. I mean, and this is bizarre world too, right? It's like, you'd think the market wouldn't rip to new highs like this, right? This is the mini S&P during a war, right? So it's like, how do you, right? So if you're on the sideline, you're like, damn it, why did I get on the sideline? So it's like, I don't know the answer, but it's been brutal, put it that way.
The wave, either short term, medium, or long. And one other thing you brought up that just seems to be kind of a scoop for me, and I just want to dig in at least for a few seconds, is you're mentioning that Truth Social, you could get a heads up if you pay up on a tweet. I have not read that or seen that. Could you share what that experience is like from your end?
Well, I don't have the experience because I'm not paying for it, but I'll see if I can find it. let's see.
Because this is big. This would be big news, and I'm assuming it's happening. But this is scandalous.
This is right out of CNBC. You're looking at. Drug media pitched 100,000 monthly fee for the fastest feed for U.S. president's post. Sources say, and it's already
I
happened.
haven't seen this. This is amazing.
Yeah, so it's amazing and it's beyond maddening, right? So listen, somebody always has the information. For instance, right before the number came out today, right before the CPI came out, the market starts ripping off the page. Somebody, or like when we're talking about icebergs, I can't tell you how many times that literally 3 minutes before a number, you'll see like this happened the last. I think it was the Fed hike. All of a sudden, 3,000 E-mini S&P buy icebergs came in the market, and I always call it the lucky guess, right? Lo and behold, you can look at my X feed. I actually posted it on my X feed. Go look at it before this last summer. The market rips off the page, right? So somebody always has it. So at least they're being transparent. Like, hey, we'll give you the information. You got to pay us. At least it's transparent because somebody always has the information. But yeah, this is egregious.
So it's egregious conflict of interest that goes into overt corruption because it's complete market manipulation to be had for the money, right? Just right. We'll give you a heads up with the guy who's calling the shots. And any of these shots completely ad hoc, completely chaotic. And at this point, what the hell's the strategy? In no way do I mean to be political. We're just talking about the nuts and bolts of investment, finance, and overall fintech strategy, right?
Yeah, I mean, again, it's hard to explain, especially because it's the most powerful man in the world. That whatever comes out of his mouth is gonna affect the market, right? So it's like, I don't want to be political either, but yeah, it's ridiculous that this is even, again, at least it's transparent. I mean, most of the time, it's somebody knows, and they're jumping in the market anyway, and they're not broadcasting. At least they're letting you know, hey, here. We'll give you the information. You got to pay us $100,000. So yeah, I mean, that doesn't. It's still ridiculous. I mean, again, it just shows you how the little guy just has, unless you're like you actually have informed information, like I'm trying to show people, like you have no chance. Like unless you got $100,000 a month to pay for these tweets. You know what I mean?
So tell us a little bit about what you offer, how you share your expertise in terms of doing what you do. You gave us a nice demo here using Bookmap. I'm assuming you use it hands-on in your live rooms that you give twice a day, if I got that right. And you got your website where you've got services, seminars, you got your YouTube channel. Can you give us a world tour of Scott Pulcini? I was always going to say Pulcini. Remember Pucci's? We had Pucci's hot dogs.
Pulcini is the right way to say it in Italian, and
in the real Italian. But anyway,
which many of them from Park Forest, I'm sure.
for sure. Give us a world tour, Scott, for people who like what they're hearing and seeing and want some of your expertise.
Yeah, so I do this every day for myself, and I also teach people. So again, I was when I was doing these webinars for Bookmap, I kept getting these calls to start my own trade room because people want to learn how I visualize the markets and traded it. So I have my own live trade room. It's on Discord, and then I get on, do a Zoom call twice a day, hour and a half in the morning, and usually an hour in the afternoon. If there's something going on, I'll get on and trade live, just exactly like I was showing with the gold trade, right? So that's what I show and teach traders how to do it. But it does get chaotic. I mean, and I do a live free one for bookmap.com on Thursdays at 9 a.m. Central. If you want to go check it out, it's exactly what I do for my room, right? So even when people get on there, if they don't know what I'm showing, they say it's like drinking from a fire hose, right? So because I'm trading multiple markets live, multiple strategies. So if you don't know what you're looking at, the learning curve is pretty steep, right? So that's why I made these courses. So I have 3 distinct courses: the stop iceberg indicator course, and I have the trading strategies, and this is just where I'm looking for my important areas where I'm looking for these iceberg events. Then we have another trade. It's more of a scalp trade where you're in and out, where the markets come back to these volume events like I was showing you. And then I have mentoring. I do one-on-one mentoring for traders there. And then obviously YouTube and testimonials and stuff like that. But yeah, I do this every day, and I'm sitting here all day trading anyway. It's why not share my wealth? I take pride in it, one, because I like educating, because one, it keeps me grounded, because I lose my mind if I'm just sitting here by myself. I already talk to myself as it is, so I might as well talk to a room and teach them what I'm doing. But I like educating because I like because it's maddening, right? Like showing you the $100,000 for the $100,000 a month for the tweets, or watching this buy ice coming right for the number. So I thoroughly enjoy, because you got to remember, I got knocked out of the game, so I buy the big money, right? So it's like with that have these algos, these big firms. So I thoroughly enjoy teaching traders the game, and teaching them you can't compete with these manipulators that are trying to take your money. So that's my main driver of the education. I just love teaching people what kind of knocked me out of the game, and how to compete.
I like your individualistic, almost GameStop kind of approach, which is empower the individual. We've got these institutional players, many as we've seen we could fairly say are corrupt in the sense of throwing their muscle around, throwing their weight around, right? And if
Yep.
you're an individual trader, you've got minimal influence in a macro sense. But if you're smart, and if you use the right tool, and if you got the right insights, then you can gain an advantage to maximize your own self-interest in a world where the big heavies are just increasingly dominating and influencing the playing field.
Right, exactly. And that's the other thing too. Like you may wonder, well, these icebergs are hidden orders in the order book. Well, then how can we see them? Well, I'm a firm believer. So the CME, that's the largest exchange in the world, futures exchange in the world. They came out with this information in 2017 ish, 2016. You can go out, you can just Google CME MBO data. That's this enhanced data. You may, like I said, you may be saying, well, why would the CME show the big monies? Because the big money is their main driver, right? They're making their income from all the orders. The big monies are off the commissions. So it's like, why would they show the orders? This is just my opinion. I've had extensive dealing with the CME back in the day, with some other manipulation games that I thought was going on with one of the firms. But the point is, I kind of know how they think, and I'm convinced that they started to show this information to give the retail trader a chance, because if the retail trader is not in here, it's shark versus shark. It's big firm versus big firm, right? There's no fish in here. So the retail trader are the fish. So because I can guarantee you that the big banks and stuff went to the CME and said, why are you showing where our orders are transacting? Again, this is all my opinion. I don't know for sure, but I can imagine the CME saying, well, you got to make a decision. Do you want the traders, the retail traders, to see this, but you get to take their money, or do you want to go firm versus firm and have a much slimmer chance to make money, right? So that's what I think happened. Regardless, I don't care why they're showing it. It's been around for 9 years, and it's an edge that's literally been working for 9 years. So remember, like I said, my edge lasted for 3 years, right? And I was done. It's a testament to how powerful this is, that it works as well today as it did 9 years ago.
And it was supercharged by COVID, because you had unprecedented retail investment hit the boards, right? You had trillions coming in from the private investor. And then you've got these added layers of technology, including Bookmap that you use. And now we're rolling into AI as well. So this idea of the retail investor, the individual, and their clout in aggregate is significant. And to your point also, it's a counterforce to get some equilibrium with the huge institutional players that'll basically just knuckle each other out if given what they want.
Right. Yeah, I think you're referring more to the stock side, the GameStop, push the market up against all the short. Those a lot. There's a Netflix special on it, right? How they cost so many hedge funds, they blew them out. The retail traders joined forces. Well, this is a way for the retail traders to join forces on the future side.
Exactly. That's the analogy that I was drawing,
Right.
between the equity side and then this.
Right. It feels good though, right? It feels good to see what they're doing. It feels good to see the games and be like, I know what you're doing. All right, I'm in. I'll join you. Or if you're big enough, you can push it against them. Things like that, like the GameStop game. But yeah, it was awesome to see. You started the webinar, the podcast, talking about the little guy, right, or our comeback, right? It's good to see the little guy making a comeback and figuring out a way to game the system to kind of shove it up the big money's, what.
What's next for you? Because like you mentioned, you've been going through your own career cycle. So you were a newbie, you got your ass kicked. You learned the tools of the trade within a specialty that you were particularly adept at, which is the futures and the day trading. You became a superstar. The technology changed out from under you. You were out on the street. Then the technology changed again, and now you're back. So, what lessons have you learned? What are you applying for your own future in futures? And what do you see coming in a way that you're aware of and that you want to tap into and you want to really alert people like us to be cautious of and also to be hopeful for?
Yeah, well, I mean, what I'm showing you here is any trader should be hopeful when they see that this kind of information is available, right? I mean, that's first and foremost. What I've learned over the years is one, like we talked about, no edge is always. So I was just mentioning a little bit ago, like this option game is taking over. So I've had to learn to monitor this options flow, and I teach that as well now. That I didn't even pay attention to it 3-4 years ago, right? So now the 0 day to expiration game is taking over. So you've got to be ready to adapt your trading, just like in real life, like I was talking about. So the number one thing is I don't care how well I do at this, it can change in a heartbeat. Be ready and again, the AI is taking over. Who knows what I'm going to start seeing there? And you got to be ready to change. Two is you gotta respect your loss limits for the day or for the month or whatever you decide and not violate them. So like I was talking about before, I had back when I was printing money, I was making 50 grand a day. My loss limit was 100 grand with my trading firm. I had 2 different days where I allowed myself and my firm allowed me to lose $700,000 in minutes, right? And this was 2 days a month apart, which is even more embarrassing. It happened twice. But the point is, it's like I wasn't respecting my loss limit because I thought, I was bigger than the game. And if I just would have stopped myself at the 100 grand both of those days, I would have an extra $1.2 million to my name, right? So you've got to as a trader, long term or short term, you got to be able to say, this is not working. There's always another day, right? And if you can't, you're in the wrong business. But those are the main lessons I learned. Just never take anything for granted. Never think you figured it out. Always be willing to adapt and learn new things that are coming because these markets are adapting and they're going to adapt without you if you don't.
Risk mitigation is the tough one because your perspective keeps changing.
Right.
If you're cranking and your ceiling gets higher, then there's a natural tendency for your loss to get lower as well, and then you lose perspective. And this is true for a lot of the players. I mean, even FTX, Bankman Fried, it was really a problem in overextension. He's sitting there in the clink right now, shaking his head because the entire crypto market is flipped on its head. It's now legit. And then, frankly, again, going back to our fearless leader in the White House, you've got crypto crossover there with the Liberty folks. So it's really a matter of self-control at the end of the day, right? Which is knowing when to stop. Just hold yourself back, stick to your limits, cut your losses, and not be so frankly excited and even greedy in a market that's so kinetic.
Right. I mean, the best way to do that, again, I always love the quote from Mike Tyson, everyone has a plan till they get punched in the mouth, right? So it's like, you can't wait until you're under the gun and we call it going on tilt, right? Those days that I lost all that money, I was full tilt. I woke up the next day and I literally said 2 different times, by the way, which is even more, like I said, more embarrassing. But I would wake up and say, who was that person? Like, I don't even know who that was. Like, why would I let that happen? When you're, in any kind of emotional, anyone could attest to this, whether you've been in an argument or in a sporting event or whatever, when you get mad, like just things change. So you have to protect yourself because you're going to have a day or a time period where you're on tilt. So you got to set it up with your trading firm. You cut me off if I hit this amount for a day or for, if you're longer term for whatever time period or whatever amount you say, they liquidate you and that's it. You cannot make rational decisions when you're on tilt. You just cannot do it. You may think you're going to be able to do it, but again, when you get punched in the mouth, the plan goes out the window. So that's the best advice I can. That's the only advice I can get in that because other than that, you may think you have ultimate self-control, but I'm telling you, if you lose a money that's outside your comfort range, you're not going to have self-control. I can almost guarantee it.
The unforced error, you double, you triple down when you fuck up because your ego's at stake. And it's also one more trade, one more bet, and it'll all be right. And that's how you sink yourself all the way deep.
Right. Well, a lot of times it's what they call negative reinforcement too. So that's why I got to that point where I lost that money because there were many, many, many days that I lost 100 grand. I was down 150, 200 and they let me go and I'd make it all back. Right. Same with traders, right? There's times where they just keep doubling down, doubling out. Market flips. Oh, look at that. I thought I was going to lose 5 grand a day and I made 10. right? So it's called negative reinforcement. And then one of the times you do it, you lose 50, right? So it's like, you just got to realize that's what happens in markets. And there's things that you're not going to foresee. Just stop trading. There's always another day.
My father's originally from Budapest, and he had a childhood friend who did well for himself. They independently emigrated, and that's how I got my ass to Chicago, through my father's friend, who then created a bridgehead, in Chicago. And he was a successful CPA, accountant, real estate. He really did well for himself. And he pretty much blew his entire nut within a month or so, doing futures, doing day trading back in the 90s. So it's a lesson that's hard to learn. It goes all the way back to humans in the cave. When you're winning, you got an attitude, you feel invincible, but you got to be cautious, and you got to hold back your own ego, because you're going to take the punch, and how you react to it is important.
Absolutely. That's the name of the game. And again, that goes for life as well. So you gotta, when things are going well, I just heard a quote the other day, and it couldn't be more true. It's like, people only change when things are going terrible for them. No one changes when things are going great, right? So it's like, because you think you got it, right? So it's like, yeah, you gotta keep perspective in trading and in life. Like, always be ready to adapt, and don't ever think that you're there, because the rug could be pulled at any minute.
None of us are invincible. And another great quote is that your point of greatest vulnerability corresponds to the moment of your greatest victory. Like, you're on top of the hill, and then you feel like you can do no wrong, and then boom. So thanks for these words of wisdom, Mr. Scott Pulcini.
Sure.
Fellow Chicago dude, turning us on to bookmap.com. I'm going to have your website URL in the description as well. You're live twice a day. You give classes. You're on YouTube, and you make the tools of the trade and decades of experience available to individual retail. We call them retail investors in the futures day trading market. And thank you, sir, for your service to people who just want to do their thing and provide that hedge against the machine, right? The huge institutions who are out just to line their own pockets, usually at our expense.
Exactly.
Thanks so much. Take care.
Thanks
And,
for having me.
and I'd love to follow up in 6 months, a year, see if the dust settles, or if it gets even more insane out there with headline news, laying waste to the markets.
Yeah, we get back on. I'll tell my blackjack card counting story too.
Oh no, tell us now. Actually, we got time. This would be a great, outtake moments. Go for it.
I'll try to squeeze it in. So again, I was, I had gone to Vegas, for the umpteenth time back when I was in college. I just graduated and went with a bunch of buddies. I brought like $1,000, right, which was like 10,000 back then. Of course, lose all my money the very first night, literally the very first night, betting on roulette, because there was like 15 blacks in a row, thinking a red should come, and I kept doubling down. Talk about double down, lost all my money, right? So borrowing money from my buddies the rest of the trip, coming flying back to Chicago, and literally didn't have $1 in my pocket. There were no debit cards back then. I didn't have a credit card. I didn't have $1. So my buddy, I'm sitting in the gift shop, and I see this book. I'm walking through the gift shop, and I see this book called Knockout Blackjack. It looked like a joke. There's blacks and gloves on the on the cover of it. So I started thumbing through it, and it's how to count cards. So I walk up. I'm like, you know what? I'm not coming back to the city unless I have an edge. I'm so sick of throwing my money away and feeling like this every time I leave, right? So I go up to the counter. My buddy that lent me like $800 on the trip. Throw the book on the counter. Will you buy me that? Just $13. He's like, I'm not buying you that book. I'm like, dude, just buy me. I already owe you 800. What's another $13, right? So he tells the cashier, he's like, yeah, put the book on my tab. So he pays for it. I read it on the way home, on the flight home. And I start going to the casino back then. If you remember, it was just on the river, right? We call it the river boats. It had to be on a waterway. So it was the Illinois-Indiana border. So I started going and practicing the tiniest amount, the table minimum. So I would play the $10 tables, and the increments would go, if the card counting or the count got in your favor, you'd go up to 10 times your normal bet. So people don't understand with card counting. One, it's not like this just free money fest. It's like a grind, right? And there's actually a Netflix special on that. Watch that thing. That is exactly 100% accurate. This guy went across the country going to all these little casinos. It's a grind, right? But the story actually wasn't a grind. So the thing is, when you learn to do it, it's not just counting cards. You got to deal with all the extra things that are going on, right? So you're dealing with the idiots at the table, you're dealing with the dealer, you're dealing with the pit boss, the waitress. You got and you got to play the correct hands too, and count the cards. So it takes practice, right? So I started again. I'm not a savant. I just worked at it, right? So started making money doing it, relatively tiny, but I knew it worked, right? So then fast forward, this was like right when I started trading too. I wasn't making any money, so I finally started making a little money. And the guy, remember I said I bet that I was going to be a better trader than him, or the top trader. I didn't really know him at the time. His name was the Big Cheese, right? And he was the top trader the year before. This was 2002-ish. So it was before I took off. So he's walking out one summer day. It was just like a day like today. The markets were dead, just like they are right now. And he's like, hey, I heard you know how to count cards. I didn't really know this guy, but it got around the firm that I was making money, relatively big money, decent amount of money. So he goes, I heard you know how to count cards. I'm like, yeah, I've been doing it. I go, I've been doing it tiny, but it works. He's like, all right, let's go to the boat. I'm like, all right. I'm like, the markets are dead. He goes, how much should we bring each? I'm like, I don't know. Works when I bring 1,000. He's like, let's each bring 10,000. So I knew it worked, right? It works with 1,000. It works with 10,000. I'm like, okay. So then we stop at a bar on the way to the Indiana casino. There's the Horseshoe at the time. And we worked out a plan on how, wherever I put my chip in the circle would signify to him. So I would sit at first base. We didn't know each other. He was at shortstop, and wherever I put my chip in the circle would signify the increments to bet, right? So we went there. He was playing two hands at $200 a piece, and then if the count got high, we would go up to 10 times that. When I say high, meaning a lot of face cards are coming out. That's where your edge is, right? So we were going from 200 to 2,000. So we go the very first day. We go. And he was a perfect candidate for it too, because he was a loose cannon. He was always there anyway. He was always at the casino gambling. They would never think he was counting cards, right? So it was perfect. We go the very first day, made $91,000 the very first time we went, right? So of course we're walking out 3 a.m. He's like, "This is incredible. We got to come back tomorrow." So I'm like, "Sure, let's go." So we go back the very next day, same exact table. I'm at first. He's at shortstop. We don't know each other. Take him for $112,000 the next day. So, take him for over $200,000 in 2 days. And we thought it was just the greatest thing, like this is easy money, right? So then we started going all the time. Then we're like, well, we got to start going to other casinos so they don't figure it out, right? So we started going. We never had that kind of success. Like we'd make 20 grand, lose 30 grand, make 20, lose 20. So then one day we're sitting at Harrah's. It was when they were little back then in Gary, Indiana. And we're sitting there playing the same game. Pit boss comes up to me. And again, I'm playing flat hands. I'm not up on my bets. So they're not alerted that I'm counting cards. And the guy comes up to me. The pit boss comes up to me. He goes, "You can't play blackjack here anymore." I'm like, and I play dumb. I'm like, "What are you talking about?" He's like, "Sir, can't play blackjack." And I just continue to play dumb. His exact words to me were, "Sir, you're welcome to play the other carnival games here, but you can't play blackjack." And I'm like, okay, fine. I grab my chips to get up, and he goes, "Oh, you can take your friend with you too." So they knew, right? They knew the game. So then that jackass puts my name in the system. So I go to Mirage. 3 months later, I'm at the Mirage in Vegas. Here I'm down $3,000. So remember I told you it's like a grind. It's not just free money. Like you got to withstand the bad streaks and stuff. Pit boss comes. This time I'm by myself. He comes up to me. He goes, "Can't play blackjack anymore, sir." And I'm like, "What do you?" I play dumb there too. He's like, his exact words there. "Your play's too strong for us." I said, "I'm down $3,000. Like, what are you talking about?" He's like, "Sir, can't play." In Vegas, you don't mess around, right? It's like, I don't think they do the back rooms anymore where they give the beatings, but I don't want to find out, right? So I'm like, all right, I'm out of here. I go straight to the Hard Rock. There, I'm down 700. I'm there for like 10 minutes. Pit boss comes up to me. "If you ever set foot in this casino again, we'll have you arrested." So after that, because it's a private establishment, if they don't like the shirt you're wearing, they can kick you out, right? So after that, no matter where I would go, I'd be sitting there for 10 minutes. "You're out, you're out, you're out." So, nowadays I'm not, back then I was a big trader, big player, but nowadays I can usually get away with going to a casino and not being flagged, especially if I don't show my ID. But nowadays, they have the facial recognition and they count right with you. If they have any inkling you're counting, they just turn on the computer. If you up your bet when the computer says you should up your bet, they know you're counting, right? So that's another example of the fix, right? So it's like it's okay for them to do it to you. They know they have the odds against you, but the minute you turn the table on them, oh, you can't play here anymore, right? So it's like, so another great story though, and I at least am up money in my lifetime at the casinos.
I love it. I
Yeah,
love it. It's like the Scorsese movie come to life as well.
right. And all those movies came out after that, the blackjack movies, like the 21s and stuff.
Movies, the card counting,
Right.
count counting movies, books, the plays. I find it fascinating. Also, what's interesting is that the casinos are ostensibly competing with each other. It's a zero sum game, but they obviously pool their lists of the counters
Oh yeah.
right before the tech. Yeah, they had the list, the 86 card counter list. You
Right.
were on it.
I
So it
was in
didn't
the
matter if
system.
you're at one casino, one city, they knew who the hell you were. Didn't even matter if you had your partner with you or not. You were just dead meat walking in the door. Didn't matter if you just lost a grand. Out of
Right.
here.
Yeah, you're out. They know if you sit there long enough, you're going to take them. So we don't want to see that. We can't have you beat us like we do to everybody else, right? So yeah,
And the other point you make is AI. The casinos are plugged in. They're monitoring the games and they're running a statistical analysis based on how you're doing. And then they could evaluate that the statistical analysis is revealing, well, hey, you got an edge. And to your point, the edge is always ours. The house always wins.
yep, exactly.
But
They do not like to lose.
Defiance, though, is badass, though. That's great. And now you're putting it to good use in a way where you can not just get away with it, but be successful at it just by looking at the markets with tools that can give you some of that same level of transparency and analytics.
Exactly, exactly. So I'm doing the same thing I do at the card counting table.
Only now they let you do it, and that, ladies and gentlemen, is a good thing. Thanks again, Scott. It was wonderful. And best wishes and good luck to you in this crazy environment. Let's just hope it chills out a little bit because we're all going nuts.
Please.